passes, I porch sit, force fit instead of forfeit. I can't abort this. Mission edition's gold, plus or minus designer touches. Catalog is in my clutches. Past the
DFZRadio.com.
Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro, hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro, hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro, hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro, hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro, hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro, hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high.
All right, we're here. Farm to Table Cannabis. Welcome. It's your boy, the hydroponic chef, the culinary cannabis ambassador to everything edible cannabis. I'm here with my boy, Jerome. You know what's good.
What's good?
Shout out to everybody out there in DFZ Radio listening land. Saint on the soundboards. Every week, Tuesday, kitchen opens up. He takes over. And we're here to take over your radio. We're going to be all up in your mouth, all up in your ear. We're going to talk about some upcoming events. We're going to talk about some edible products. We're the only show offering reviews, recipes, and sponsorship giveaways from our good folks over at General Hydroponics. We got Magical Butter Machine to give away, Botanic Air, Sunlight. You got a good show in store today. And as always, Jerome's over here getting his fucking roll ready. We're about to get our smoke on. What do you got over there, bro? What kind of machine? That ain't no bong.
Oh, this is fucking the Super Troopers Edition auto roller. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people online buying these things, but they ain't got this one.
Damn. The industry is evolving. So everyone's found a way to market something or bring a niche or find another way to bring something to the light of people. So it's funny. You see, it kind of leads into what I'm going to talk about here. Is
look how simple this is, bro. Just boom.
See, and someone found their niche. They found their way to get into the cannabis industry without actually having to touch cannabis.
It's actually got a sensor in there that senses the moisture content level of your bud.
So you're just going to grind it up, and then it just breaks the weed up for you and then puts it inside the cone for you?
Yeah. Basically, all I'm going to do is put some weed in here, no particular order, just stuff that shit in there.
Do you get paid for this, or do you just love it?
Huh? You know what? I think after today, we should get paid.
Yeah, sponsorships, opportunities available, hydroponic chef.
But
so lots of people coming in the industry, bro. A lot of people finding their way. So as we watch Jerome roll this joint, and there's all these products out there. There's all these suits and ties wanting to get involved that necessarily haven't touched cannabis, and investing has become a way for people to get into the cannabis industry without having to touch it. So we're going to touch on that today. We're going to talk about that in the news, and there's an article from the Motley Fool written by Sean Williams. It was released today, and 3 reasons marijuana stocks are soaring again. And I think a lot of it has to do with people wanting to get into the cannabis industry, but they can't necessarily.
Stocks or the actual stocks?
Stocks. Good one. Jerome's on point today again. So Sean Williams writes, the big event is now just 50 days away. On October 17th, 2018, Canada will lift the curtain on recreational marijuana, and in the process become the first industrialized country in the world to have approved the sale of adult use cannabis. The big day was a long time coming, and for Canada, with Parliament debating Bill C-45, better known as the Cannabis Act, for months, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau promising a push for legalization on pot for years, now that it'll be legal instead of illegal, the cannabis industry is looking forward to bringing in billions of dollars in added revenue each year. But throughout most of 2018, marijuana stocks haven't looked like they've good part of the industry. That's on the verge of major change. The Northern American Marijuana Index plunged by around 40% in the 6 months between mid-January and mid-July, raising serious questions about whether we were witnessing the beginning of a marijuana bubble burst.
Oh, hell yeah. Have you seen what they're paying their growers in Canada? They want growers.
You see there's a revolution going on. In pot stocks, they find a way to strive once again. However, the past week and change have turned the cannabis frown upside down. Since then, the close on August 14th, 2018, and through their close on Friday, August 24th, here's how a handful of largest pot stocks have performed. Canopy Growth was up 83%, Aurora was up 61%, Afria was up 61%, Tilray up 81%, and Kronos even up 76%. So why such a dramatic surge in valuation in less than 2 weeks? The way we see it, he goes on to say, is that alcohol companies, number one, want to be partners with cannabis. And a far and away leading catalyst have been the sudden ramp-up interest in marijuana stocks by alcohol companies. Spirit, wine, and beer makers have struggled to generate significant growth in developed markets, and frankly, they fear losing even more sales if consumers decide to make the conscious choice to purchase cannabis products instead of their wine, liquor, and beer. So by partnering with cannabis companies, alcohol businesses are hopefully offering themselves a new path for growth. Are you smoking that already? That's perfect.
Oh, no, he was taking pictures. I was flipping it, and I think he
He's
said
done.
no, turn that to a peace sign, and then I tried to pick my nose.
I'd invest in that. So the big news here is twofold. First, Constellation Brands received 139 million warrants as a result of its investment, which it exercised could push Constellation's ownership in Canopy Growth over 50%. With such a scenario would likely result in Constellation Brands acquiring what it doesn't already own of Canopy Growth. Such a move is unlikely for a variety of reasons prior to late 2020 or 2021 at the earliest. But secondly, it is Wall Street wondering what pot stock is the next big partner with alcohol. They've seen Molson Coors Brewing announce a joint venture with Hypothecary Corporation 4 weeks ago, and based on the surge in share price noted above, Wall Street appears to be looking to Tilray or Aura Cannabis as the next logical partner for an industry alcohol partnership, you guys. So, number two reason why the pot stocks are soaring right now, Jeff Sessions' relationship with Donald Trump. You see it in the news, you guys. Sessions is perhaps the most ardent opponent to marijuana state-level expansion on Capitol Hill, and he was a primary figure behind the rescission of the Cole memo in early January. But him recusing himself from the Russian investigation put a big divide between Trump and him. And you've seen in the media lately, there's a lot going on back and forth between Trump and Sessions. And there's talks even that Sessions might resign. Now, that's his number two. Number three, this is a momentum-driven industry, and the tide has again shifted. Finally, we have to realize that marijuana stocks are more of an emotional-based or momentum trade at the moment than they are a fundamental long-term investment. Though there are obvious big dollar figures behind the legalization of adult use weed in Canada, it's going to take some time before pot stocks are generating recurring profits. For instance, Kronos Group is nearly sporting a 1.8 billion market cap, but has a trailing PE of nearly 1,000, a forward PE of roughly 130, and is trading at almost 250 times its trailing 12-month sales. On a fundamental basis, Kronos Group is a kind of scary, and a company that some people might think maybe not they wouldn't want to jump into, but other investors are seeing it as an opportunity to go in really hard. So look right in this industry, we're seeing a lot of change, you guys, a lot of opportunity for growth, and we're seeing the cannabis industry actually be traded on.
You know what this means, right?
It's time to invest.
No, yeah, exactly.
Get in now. Think about 1997 and not getting in on Amazon.
Here, Devin. Let's just start a whole new division.
I will be announced by Hydro Chef while I'm here.
We're going to start a whole new division for Hawthorne, and I can help lead that division for you.
Easy, buddy. Easy,
Consulting.
buddy.
Look, you want to make big money, you got to grow big crops. And that's what I specialize in.
You know what I think this calls for? I think this is another time that we play the game. Sex tip or stock tip. So it's going to be a sex acronym or stock tip. Do you want to play the game real quick, buddy?
I can answer anything you need, man.
All right. So is this a stock tip or is this a sex act? B, B, BJ.
I think that's a stock tip because
no, it's a bareback blow job, buddy. Come on, get your shit together.
What?
Now, how about this one? APHQF.
AHPQF. AHPQ. Man, that's too many fucking things, dude. Can't we have some abbreviations?
Is sex
of like
tip
2 to
or
3
stock
letters?
tip?
See, I'm not good at this.
Take a pick, buddy.
The only thing I know
Well, I'll
is
give it to you one more time. APHQF.
Man, that sounds like some shit I don't even know.
Oh, it's a stock tip. That's Afria, up 61%. We just mentioned in the article. And that's what we do for you every week here is we bring you guys up to date on the news, the stock tips, and the sex acronyms for our buddy over here, Jiggity Jerome. He's learning every day here. And if you want to call in right now, 562-653-0707. Call lines are open. We've got some products to give away. And hell, you might even get to play some sex tip or a sex acronym with the Jerome and the Hydro Chef.
Just ask me sex questions too. I'll change your whole love life. Anybody
and you
wants
can even ask gardening questions too.
Yeah, we'll change your garden and your love life.
So this thing does roll pretty nice joints. I saw the OG Hydro Pimp have one of these. We were smoking on one, and this is a second joint I smoked off that. And to go ahead and give those guys a shout out. It's approved, Hydroponic Chef approved.
Hey, this is the Banana Bros Auto, and we will have our own discount code for the show for you guys to order in on these. So just know what's good when you order one of them. Just tell them. You know what's good, say give me a good discount.
That's right. So we're going to come back real quick. We're going to review Mama Mara's edibles. We've got some peanut butter cookies from Mama Mara's. We've also got a review of the Hitman Saturday Night Bites, which I was cooking at last Saturday. So stay tuned, 562-653, Hydroponic Chef 0707. Boo!
Just not right here. Am I acting paranoid? Oh Lord, don't tell me I'm slipping. That's just stress I can't afford. So please tell me this is different. I got sweaty palms when I shake your hands. I don't take no chance. Girl, you ain't my girl and you ain't my man. You know, I don't trust nobody at first glance. Out to take my soul and take my capital. They tell me I'm stressing on things that ain't me. Oh well, that may be true, but I can't change how I feel. So, baby, I'm way too high. Or is there something going on? I can't see with my eyes. With my eyes, oh, is someone telling lies? I could be tripping, but it seems like something's just not right. Just not right here. Don't wait till it's way too late. Don't let them get over. You might have to make them pay. Regret that shit all summer. Don't wait till it's way too late. Don't let them get over. You might have to make them pay. Regret that shit all summer. Something's just not right, just not right here.
DFCRadio.com.
Launch crew, ready to reservoir.
What's the load factor, sir?
Bringing the Riser Blast liquid at 2 mils per gallon.
Okay, sir. We are loaded and ready to launch.
Okay, man. It's time to blast off into the plant's root zone and into another galaxy of root growth.
Rhizoblast is a proprietary blend of seaweed and the single-celled algae chlorella. Chlorella's abundance of amino acids and minerals contribute to its value in hydroponics. The benefits used in Rhizoblast are explosive root growth, the use with any growing medium or hydro system, its ideal use for transplanting, and the enhancement of your plant vigor and fast-flowering plants. Let your plants have a blast and see a world of a difference with Rhizoblast from Botanicare. Check it out at www.botanicare.com.
Yo, it's BKJ on Team King, and you listening to DFZ Radio. What?
DFZRadio.com.
Ay, I want a lot of things in this life. I want some things money can't buy. Like a girl who gon' keep it solid. Yeah. Like a girl who gon' need me one who gon' hold it down when I'm in a drought. Need me one who gon' get this cash when I'm running out. I need me one who gon' love this life I'm living with no problem. Hoes talking down, but my baby got 'em. Need me one, need me one, need me one. I need me one, need me one, need me one. I need me one, need me one who gon' hold it down, who gon' keep it real, who gon' roll my blunts when this shit get real. Yeah, too far, can't think I'm gone off loud. Top shelf moon rock, she keep loud. Snapchat booming, got these hating hoes trolling. Out in public, she wrap around my ridges like a rolling. Rolling and dough, that's what she do on the low. That's what she do when she high. When I need it, she provide. When I'm sober, she supply. Half an ounce to get me by. Double that up and now I'm making money on the side. Break her out before I slide like. Put that up on my dead homie. She ride for me more than the homies. Know I got dreams, I'm living in cars, but she don't look at me like I am homeless. She look at me like I'm a star. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly what I am. Damn girl, you're so real. Need me one who gon' hold it down when I'm in a drought. Need me one who gon' get this cash when I'm running out. I need me one who gon' love this life I'm living with no problem. Hoes talking down, but my baby got 'em. Need me one, need me one, need me one. I need me one, need me one, need me one. I need me one, need me one who gon' hold it down, who gon' keep it real, who gon' roll my blunts when this shit get real. Yeah, need me one who always keep it solid, always keep it loyal, always gon' pick up when I call her, always on the go. Gotta get that dough, talking about that bread when I'm feeling low. She gon' come talk me off the ledge. Always on time, moving slow when I'm with you. I respect your grind, cause you always look out for your boo. And you hold me down, yeah, when I'm up, yeah. If I fall, can you be my crush? You so clutch. It's some real shit I gotta tell you.
All right, we're back. No, Jerome, we cannot prank call some of the stores in the hydro industry. That's a very bad. Cali, dude, that's a very bad
you
look.
Listen to Luther Lupe.
We're back. Farm to Table Cannabis, DFZRadio.com. We got Edibly Infused on the show this evening, and we've also got Jerome staying smoked out as fucking always.
This is just a facade, bro.
Yeah, this is just you. This isn't really you in real life, right? This is a character on the radio show.
Exactly. It's an alter ego, dog.
So Edibly Infused, I've been following for a minute now. She does her thing. Wonderful looking edibles. You got to check out the Instagram at Edibly Infused. And I'm gonna bring on Capricious so she can introduce herself. And here we go. Capricious, thank you for coming on Farm to Table Cannabis. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, guys. I am Capricious with Edibly Infused, a canner chef.
Now, you know that was the first thing that stood out to me when I saw your products on Instagram, and it's really an experience that you're setting up here because the food looks so beautiful, and it's like the dining settings look just as beautiful as some of the food. Now, is it true right now you're on vacation in Belize?
I am definitely on vacation in Belize.
So we're lucky to even get Capricious on the line with us right now. So she's really treating us now on DFZ Radio. And if you want to be treated, you check out our Instagram. You can see some of these awesome treats. Now, let me ask you this, Capricious. What initially got you started in cooking with cannabis? Was it the plant that came first, or was it some cooking school, or how did you get into this?
Well, weirdly enough, it was the plant, but I love to cook. I've been cooking, I think, since I was about 15 or 16, got taught how to cook from my grandma, then worked over to working with a couple of chefs as a sous chef and learned, lots of the tricks of the trade. And then I actually got colon cancer. And I had to kind of figure out the whole cannabis industry because I heard that it was really good for colon cancer.
So you learned a lot about the holistic part of it to go along with your cooking techniques.
Yep, I definitely did. I learned a whole lot about the whole colon cancer, the edibles, the plant itself, the healing process, for the nausea, for the stomach aches, for every aspect of it, and it definitely changed my life.
Now, and through this experience in your own life, you've been able to pass on your knowledge and your ability to heal in the own environment for your home. But not only that, you're holding these events now too, which is, a great service you're doing too. So let's talk about a couple of the events you've done under Edibly Infused.
So I do this thing called the Canna Fair. Came up with the name Canna and Fair meaning food. Where I just basically put together these underground dinners, kind of like definitely a plated, seated dinner party, 5 to 6 course meals. And it's more of an experience where you get to, taste different types of food, all in different ways of infusions is what I call them. And then you get the whole concept at the end of basically what Canna Fair is all about.
Now, and that's the thing, too. It's educational, and it's also great to learn about the health side of it. But you're getting to experience really unique food. And a lot of your food here, I mean, it seems like a lot of international fare. It seems like a lot of Southern influence, too. Where would you say your food comes from? Like, and what region of the area are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Washington, D.C., and as I said, my grandmother, she was from Virginia, so she had 11 kids, and she had to feed them. So she became an amazing cook, and she taught me how to cook very early on, so she is definitely my main influence. And then 2 chefs that I worked with for a while, one was from St. Croix, and the other one has Jamaican influences in her family. So they taught me, A to Z, whatever it was, whatever I had an interest in, any ideas or recipes, they just taught me. And they taught me how to do something that people find odd, which is to follow a recipe.
That's right, too, because so many chefs wing it nowadays.
Right.
So,
and following recipes sometimes can, be very simple and bring you, so much accredited fame, and it'll be a recipe that, say, maybe Martha Stewart might have put together, and you just put your spin on it.
That's it, too, and that's what's so cool about the recipes that are out there, especially in the cannabis cuisine, is you can alter them and you can make them your own. You can actually add your own flair onto it, and that's what you've done with some of your food. Now, let's go into some of your ways that you infuse. Are you infusing with oils? Are you doing butters, coconut oils? What's your preferred method?
Well, I call it my science lab. So I make can of butters. I do coconut oil. I do actual infused raw cocoa butter. That's what I use in my chocolates and sometimes in my cookies. I do a infused olive oil. And then a lot of times my own technique is I make an infused tea, which is really, really popular. And I use the actual flower in loose tea.
So you steep it in there. I see that. That's nice.
Steep
and then
it right into the tea. And people are always amazed. They're like, how did you do this tea? And I say, how would you use a flower? You steep it.
Simple, yet some people just don't see how simple it is when it comes down to the decarboxylating it. Now, I see you've got a nice balance of savory dishes and sweet dishes. Now, It's did you do the baking thing too? I see, because a lot of these.
Yes,
I mean,
baking-
I was looking at the buffalo
baking
chicken mac and
is free.
cheese, but your cakes are
Oh,
phenomenal.
The cakes are really popular. The most popular, I think, is the red velvet bundt cake, which people call for all the time because it's highly infused and it is as moist and creamy. So a lot of people, look forward to that one. A lot of the savory things, I know that my buffalo mac and cheese is like the bee's knees, very popular. That was a recipe that I found. And
You got my co-host drooling over here. He's looking at me like, oh my gosh.
I started to do it as a joke, but it just started.
So do you ever? Do you ever get these private event requests, or are these events you're holding yourself now? Do you take private event requests?
I do take requests. I do an event on Tuesdays, Treehouse Tuesdays, with shout out to at Glazed Infused, the Infused Network. I work with them on Tuesdays, and I am their food vendor on Tuesdays only. And then sometimes I'll get requests from different people. They might just want me to do dinner for them, something small. Most of the events that I do when it comes to the bigger settings are my own, because I kind of thought, why throw someone else's if I can throw my own?
That's it, right? And now, the cookies, I got to ask you this. What inspired these blueberry snickerdoodle cookies? That's not something you see every day.
That's probably my most popular cookie, and I call it the cookie hunt, where I go online and about every other week, and I say I'm going to find a cookie that no one has out. And I just stumbled on that blackberry snickerdoodle, and it has become very popular. Since that one, I have the banana pudding, which has become popular, the strawberry chocolate chip, and I try to find cookies that aren't out there mainstream, where people are like looking at you like, this tastes just like what you said.
So can we get your opinion? What's the cooking scene like and the Canna Chef scene like out there in Washington, D.C. right now?
I think it's definitely growing. A lot of times they kind of stick with the basics. I think my concept is a little more artisanal, because I try to go left when everyone else is going right. So a lot of chefs are now getting into going left and doing their own thing and not following the bandwagon, where, as a friend of mine calls it, making the regular baby shower food. They're like infusing things that they think, I know that there is a Mexican-inspired infused chef who does food, and it's amazing.
And that's what I think it comes down to, is stick to what you know. Don't
definitely.
You got inspired by cooking things that you like. So that doesn't mean if you're doing what you're doing, don't go jump into the French cooking, or don't go jump into really differently classically trained stuff. If you're used to cooking what you're cooking and you just want to get into cannabis infusions out there, people, do what's easy for you.
Because there's a market and there's a fan base for everyone.
That's it too. And so the cooking with cannabis scene out there, like Washington, it's a legal state. It's got medical. Now what are the rules as far as like being able to host these events? Can people just find you online and skip the rules? Can people easily access this?
Careful, that's DC,
finding me on Instagram is the best bet, because a lot of the times, they have these things in DC where they don't want them to have they don't want you to have events, and it's kind of more so political. Who's running for mayor? Who's running for Congress? Who's running for the House, Senate at this time? And that's what a lot of the situations that have gotten events stopped.
A lot of politics involved, huh?
A lot of politics. So I do mine as private events and just rent a house, or what's best is if you have a fabulous home where you can have it at your home, it's yours. You don't have to prove anything.
Dang. All right. That's it, because it's a private property. Now, let me ask you this, Saint. Buddy, can we do 2 calls one time right now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a phone call. Do you mind taking a phone call with us? We're going to let this person ask a question. All right.
That's fine.
Eddie, you're on Farm to Table Cannabis with Edibly Infused and the Hydroponic Chef. What's going on, man?
Yeah.
You had a question about how to make product or something?
Yeah, well, butter. First off, her
Where-
stuff.
where you out of?
Sounds banging.
Where are you out of?
Washington State.
Okay. I saw Washington here. I was hoping maybe we just made the craziest connection happen ever.
Right? No kidding. Yeah, no, other side.
So,
But
what'd you have to ask?
I've made butter. I made butter. I've used to make oil in the past, but now I'm trying to make butter for myself, just to have some cookies and everything, just anything. But when I make the butter, it always comes out tasting like cannabis. It tastes like I'm chewing on a tree.
Ah, okay. I hear what you're saying. So you might need a little bit more refined of a method, huh?
I don't know what
yeah.
So are you using just like the old cheesecloth method, or are you doing the ice and the butter method? What method are you using right now, just so I can be sure?
Yeah, more or less the cheesecloth. Yeah.
All right. And now, that's good, but that's not gonna get all the particulates out.
I was gonna say if there's a better way, I jump ship and I'll go do it that way.
90 micron bag is a good place to start. Lower the micron, the less material you're gonna get in there. And you're also going to lose some of the potency too. Now, let's say you really wanted to take something to the market and you wanted to make like an olive oil based skincare product or an olive oil based tincture or something like that, and you didn't want that color in there because also that color comes with that taste that you're experiencing.
Right.
The less milligrams you have in there, the less of the color and the less of the taste you're going to have. But if you really, really want to get into like professional products to bring out to the market, not just for home use, but maybe something you're trying to you need to get into distillates. So you need to take your product, you need to have it ran into an extract and have that distillate added to your product. It'll have no flavor, no color, and it will have super psychoactive effects. It's already been decarboxylated. It's super readily available, and that's really the best way, in my opinion, if you want to get rid of the taste. Otherwise, you got to strain away some of the psychoactivity.
How do you feel about hash? Water hash, decarboxylate hash to get rid of the flavor.
That's a good point there, Jerome, for the extra topic on this one. Extra points if you want to wash your own cannabis and turn it into bubble hash. You will lose a little bit of the flavor there, but keep the potency.
Oh, you'll get mad potency. I used to work in an edible kitchen for a dispensary under one of the scientists that was involved in the starting of SC Labs back in the day, but basically, we did a lot of decarboxylation with a vacuum oven overnight with hash and kief, and that went into a testing process to figure out the potency as well. And with the potency, after decarboxylation, we're able to put that into a formula and actually calculate the milligrams so that this way you can get correct dosages.
So it's a lot easier to measure your dosage when you're doing it that way. So that's a great recommendation there. So did we edibly infuse? You're still on the line, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
cool. I just want to. It was so quiet. You muted us. It doesn't even sound like you're on a beach in Belize anymore. So
well, I use that fabulous magical butter machine. And one method that I learned how to decarbonate was with the whole grain alcohol, to give your cannabis a good spraying of that before you put it in the oven. And then once you put it in the oven, it's amazing.
That makes a lot of sense right there too. And the magic butter machine, that's a good mention on them. And we actually have one of them to give away to you today, Eddie. So we're gonna hook you up. Our good friends over at Magical Butter Machine, we're gonna give you guys a magical butter machine, courtesy of Magical Butter Machine, the Hydroponic Chef, DFC Radio, and our good friend Edibly Infused too for mentioning it. So
nice.
All right. So you can make some
products.
bud. You can make some products yourself. And who's hooking you up every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. on DFZRadio.com?
Man, it's the Hydro Chef.
That's
DFC
right, man.
Radio.
Thank you so much, dude. So we're going to get your information. You can send it to my DM, or you can hold for like 30 minutes until the show's over. I recommend sending it to me.
Hey, so
all right, well, yeah, I'll send it to you right now.
There we go, man. And thank you so much, Edibly Infused. You are knowledgeable, you are talented, and your food is on point. It's looking amazing.
Thank you. I have to come out there and make sure you get to taste it.
Yeah. When can we get you on the West Coast for an event, right? So you can
definitely.
You can check her out again at Edibly Infused on Instagram. And did you have a website too? Forgive me if you already mentioned it.
Actually, I don't have a website as of yet.
That's all right. That's all right. So, well, you can check it out, Edibly Infused. And thank you so much. We're super gracious that you came on the show tonight, and hopefully looking to try
Thank
some of
you.
those blueberry snickerdoodles soon.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Stay medicated.
Much love.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So we're gonna take a commercial break.
Hey,
We're gonna-
real quick though, Chef, check this out. I
Oh.
gotta do this before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we had some guests on the show, and one of them suggested to use the stock stems while smoking meat. So you know what good old Jerome did? I kept to my word. On
tried that
Sunday,
shit.
Oh, I went out and bought about $75 worth of baby back ribs, and I smoked it with.
Now, did you soak them in water before you smoked
Fuck
them?
no. Hell no, I got a thick smoke. And people got to understand that first hour, at least, of smoking any meat, that's when it's going to absorb as much as it can. So you want a nice smoke ring on there. That's a good tip, is get as much smoke in there that first hour or two on your smoke. And but I did it with some baby backs. I did it with some Purple Punch stems and a little bit of oak hickory.
Got a
and
little
applewood.
fruity, almost cherry wood flavor in there, probably with that Purple Punch stems.
I can smell it.
Here's the
dude.
thing: if you're gonna use stems, and this
That
is a
would've been
tip,
bomb.
you soak them in water, and it'll make them last twice as long. You get twice as much smoke.
It
because
depends on
takes
what
how
kind of
long.
smoker. Now, if you have a pelletized smoker that's suggesting pellets only, you got to use the pellets. That's
Right,
something
right.
you may need to grind down the stalks and stems real fine.
Turn it into
But
a dust, and
I have a
just
wood
sprinkle
chip
it.
smoker, and with a wood chip smoker, it's very much suggested not to soak the wood chips because the pans on those don't get them hot enough to create enough smoke as you would with a regular, what do they call it? Those big ass smokers. I don't know. I've been watching Pit Masters like a motherfucker lately, and I'm gonna get a nice smoker one day. But right now, I got a little digital one. You can check with Bluetooth, whatever. Put the meat probe in there.
You'd be staying smoked. So we're gonna take a commercial break. We're gonna come back and do the cooking video as the arancinis, the Rizzo, which is the Italian style rice balls. I cooked that for the High Times, the Hitman Coffee Shop Saturday Night Bites event. So we're
Like
gonna come
Rizzo
back.
Blast?
Yeah, you know what's up exactly. So we're gonna come back and then we're gonna talk about that after the cooking video. So stay tuned, DFZ Radio. You can still call in 562-653-0707. Win prizes. DFZRadio.com.
Call in.
Crank it up, crank it on up, crank it up. Sour diesel up in my blood, purple drink up in my car. Crank it up, crank it on up. That's D, got me smoking the bass, no stress cheese. Now hold up, now roll up. Check the situation, about to go nuts. With a little bit of perk up in my cup. You could tell the bartender to fill it on up. That's alright, baby, work your stuff. And that's all night, baby, work your strut. You and your friends can ride when I go. Take a little spin in my Monte Carlo. Take a little dip, baby, show you how I roll. Take a little hit, baby, puff on the hydro. Eyes so lit, make me look like my eyes closed. Purple drink mix, make me look like my eyes glow. Hypno Grey Goose with a little grape juice. That's how it is, so I'ma have to take side diesel in my blood. Purple drink in my cups, I'ma tell the DJ, crank it on up. Side diesel in my blood, purple drink in my cup. Someone tell the DJ, crank it on up. Yeah, crank it up, crank it on up, crank it up. Sour diesel up in my blood, purple drink up in my car. Crank it up, crank it on up. It's the ADX team with no doubt in between. And we stay fresh and clean when we hop on the scene. And we style on them, profile on them. If they wanna act crazy, then we wild on them. It's the S to the T and that Cambo G. The Maserati blue or the Lamborghini.
DFZ Radio Kitchen Studio, Farm to Table Cannabis, the hydroponic chefs bringing you another medicated meal. Today we're going to do arancini de riso, which is our medicated rice balls. So this is a classic Sicilian street fair food, and we're going to accompany it with some roasted red pepper sauce that has a little bit of toasted walnut in there. Now, to make the base for our arancini de riso, We're gonna do a creamy Parmesan risotto. We're gonna let that cool down, and then we're gonna roll those into some balls and fry those. Now they're called arancini di riso because it means little oranges. So when you fry them and they get that color on there, these rice balls resemble little oranges. So we're gonna have our medicated red pepper sauce with our medicated rice balls, serving up an Italian medicated feast. So in preparation for our arancini di riso, we're gonna prepare some risotto classic style. So we're gonna do a creamy Parmesan risotto using 2 cups of arborio rice, do 6 cups of chicken broth or vegetable stock, a teaspoon of garlic, a whole white onion, and you're gonna use about a half a cup of white wine in there with the rice. We're gonna start the prep for our risotto that we're gonna use for our arancini di riso. So we're gonna use the whole onion. Just gonna take off the tops, slice through that membrane just a little bit so you can get that skin off. So chopping up some onion for the risotto. We're gonna take this onion, we're gonna get a pan going on medium-high heat. We're gonna take 3 tablespoons of our medicated olive oil. We're gonna take the onions, we're gonna get those heated until they're nice and translucent and those flavors from the onions are in the pan. We're gonna throw our 2 cups of arborio rice in there, toast the rice with those onion and those flavors, and take about a half a cup of white wine after 3 minutes, put it in the pan, and those flavors from the wine and the onion are gonna start off that rice. The starches from the rice are gonna thicken the sauce on its own. So this is a self-thickening rice. It makes its own sauce. Get the stove top on medium-high. I'm gonna take 3 tablespoons of our olive oil, medicated 30 milligrams a tablespoon. Get our sweat up your onions for about 4 minutes. We're not trying to caramelize the onions. We just want to get those flavors activated. I want to get your rice in there. Got 2 cups of the arborio rice. I'm going to mix that up with all the oil, the medicated olive oil, and the onions. You're just toasting the rice. This is activating all the starches. They're gonna make the creaminess for our sauce. So this is a labor of love when you're making risotto. This is something you've got to constantly stir. And the reason why is because you're breaking off all those starches from the outside of the grain of rice. And that's what's gonna thicken up and make this a creamy Parmesan risotto. Don't want any burnt pieces of rice. Just constant stir. So this is ready right now for our white wine. Use a white wine that you like drinking. It doesn't have to be an expensive white wine, but I would definitely use something that you enjoy. I wouldn't go with a sweet wine. You know, maybe a drier wine would work better for this. But again, whatever your preference is, just I would avoid the dessert wines. You can see all those flavors from the onion. All those flavors are melding together. Medicated olive oil, the white wine, and the arborio rice. And you can see it's already getting thick. So at this point, this is the only time you're adding wine, is that first step. The rest of the liquid we'll put in here will be all stock or broth from vegetable or chicken stock, depending on how you want to go. So we've got our chicken stock. We're going to start adding this slowly. Now, a lot of people do risotto a lot of different ways. Some people will throw all the stock in there and cover it and let it boil. But for a classic risotto, traditionally, you're going to add 1 cupful of the broth at a time. And you're going to let all that liquid get absorbed before you start adding another cup. So we've got just about 8 ounces in there. Reduce the heat to about medium. And you're just going to let all that chicken broth get absorbed by those grains of rice. And you'll do this several times until you reach the right consistency. The liquid's absorbing up nice. We're just constantly stirring this. And we're gonna add some more of our chicken stock and mix it up, just like you would your reservoir for your hydroponic system. Speaking of hydroponic systems, the good folks at General Hydroponics has donated another Flora Series Performance Pack, and this is the most customizable nutrient in the nutrient industry. You can use this on any fern, ficus, or pharmaceutical botanical you decide to grow. It's got Flora Grow, Flora Micro, and Flora Bloom, and they got the optimum NPK ratios for grow and bloom. So this is a product that's been used by universities all over the world. It's been used by NASA and your local 100 Light cannabis grower. So if it's good enough for space weed, it's good enough for your weed. So you can mix it up in your reservoir, feed it to your hydro, and the thing about hydroponics is you can use 90% less water when you're doing a hydroponic system. And so for those drought-stricken areas, hydro is a very a good way to help conserve water. As we mix up this risotto, you can see it's got that nice creamy consistency from all those starches and the broth. Now, just to give it a little bit more cream and finish it off, we remove it from the heat and we're gonna add about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan. And then after we get that Parmesan in there, cream up that sauce, we're gonna let this cool down so that we can shape it into our risotto balls. But if you were serving this as a side dish or your main course, this is pretty much ready to go. This is your classic risotto dish with a little bit of Parmesan. Nice creamy consistency. We finished it off with some of that Parmesan. And now we're gonna transfer this to a baking sheet with some parchment paper so that it can spread out, and that way it'll cool faster. While we're waiting for our risotto to finish cooling so we can form it into our arancini medicated rice balls, we're gonna get some peppers and we're gonna grill them off to get the skin ready to come off. This is a simple process. You can do this on the stove top on a medium-high heat. Get the skin nice and charred, and the skin's gonna come off easier once you've got that skin blackened. You don't want the skin in your sauce because it's bitter. So the trick is to make sure you blacken all sides, because everywhere where it's black, the skin's gonna come off a lot easier. Don't worry about getting a little too charred. It's all gonna scrape right off. So you can see the skin's already trying to come off right there. When we pull this off and we let it rest for a few minutes, that skin's gonna come off super easy. Just about finished up our peppers. We got a nice grill on the skin. This is gonna be easy to take them off later. I'm gonna drop these into an ice bath. That's gonna help that skin loosen up, and it's gonna cool these down so we can peel that skin off faster. Taking our peppers, we've dropped them into an ice bath. We're using the back side of the spoon just to peel off all that pepper skin. All the skin's coming off pretty easy. You want to rinse them, peel off any of those black marks, and then that's how you get the skin off of a bell pepper for your sauce. We've got our peppers ready for our roasted red pepper sauce. Just going to take off the tops, de-seed these, and then we're going to place them right into our food processor. Roasted red pepper sauce, we've got the red bell peppers that we've skinned and taken the bitter parts out. We've got a 1/3 cup of toasted walnuts, and then we're going to use 2 tablespoons of our medicated olive oil. We're going to add the nuts, and then we'll slowly add in the medicated olive oil. You're just going to pulse it. Then you can start to add your olive oil. Now this olive oil is 30 milligrams per tablespoon, so we don't want to overdo our guests, and we're about medicating responsibly here. Pull out your spatula, knock down the sides. What we're looking for is about the consistency of a pesto sauce. And when you get that consistency right there, now you can throw in a small clove of garlic. The garlic in there, you're just gonna add about 2 teaspoons of paprika, and then you're gonna season it to taste with salt and pepper. So we're just gonna pulse this a couple more times, and then this sauce is basically done. Now that that's done, and our rice is cooled, let's start prepping up some of this rice. We're gonna roll it into balls, and then we're gonna make our finished arancini cannabis infused rice. We're cubing up some mozzarella. We're gonna put that in the center of our rice croquettes, and this is going to be breaded at our breading station. Some flour, some egg, and some breadcrumbs. So we're cubing up the mozzarella. You don't want these pieces too big because then they won't melt when you're frying them in the olive oil. So just like that. Also got some eggs. We're gonna get the eggs into our breading station. And this is gonna help hold those rice balls together with the egg, the flour, and the breadcrumbs. We continue to make these. This is nice and cold, so it's easy to work with. And again, you just make it nice and flat. Put your piece of cheese right in the middle and cup the rice right around the piece of cheese of mozzarella into the flour, into the egg, and into the breadcrumb. We're just gonna complete these all the way on down until we get a tray full of them, and then we're gonna start frying these off in regular olive oil because you're gonna need about 3 or 4 cups of oil to fry these in. You don't wanna use that much medicated oil. Besides, you've got the oil inside the risotto and inside medicated red pepper sauce that we're gonna serve with these arancini di riso, which translates to little oranges. And from there, into the breadcrumbs. And I like to wear gloves because it just keeps it simpler. So as we finish up the last of our rice balls, you're going to put these in the freezer or the refrigerator so that they stay nice and cold. That way they keep their shape. So before you fry them, let them sit at a cold temperature. Otherwise you're gonna have little frisbees instead of little oranges. One more into the egg, and once more time into the breadcrumbs. So these are all but done. Let's throw these in the freezer. Give them some time to cool up before we throw them in the frying pan with our medicated olive oil and our medicated red pepper sauce with our arancini di riso. We are about to fry up these arancini balls, and we're gonna do a combination of vegetable oil and olive oil because it'll help with the smoking point of the oil if we do a mixture of both oils. We want just enough oil in there so that we can coat the entire edges while we cook the rice balls. We're gonna put this on medium-high heat. We're gonna put our rice balls on there. We cook them about 2 minutes aside, flipping them constantly and get a nice even golden brown color on there. So these are ready to go. We pull these out. They've been sitting in the freezer, keeping their shape. We're gonna let this heat up, and then we're gonna throw a couple on. Cook these in batches of 3 at a time. So the cold from the risotto ball doesn't take all the heat away from the oil. Just about 3 of them at a time should be sufficient. Ready for frying. We've got our rice balls, and we're just gonna place those right into the oil. 3 of them at a time. You can see the oil just ready when it starts to sizzle around the outside. So these are cold. We're putting them in cold, so you're gonna watch out for a splash. Sometimes the oil will splash when you're adding something very cold to it. You don't want to fidget with them. You don't want to move them too much because you will break them open. And you don't want that cheese leaking into your oil. You can see they're starting to get that nice golden brown, maybe even orange color. And now you can see where they get the name of little oranges, the arancini. You can see that brown color on them, almost golden orange. These are almost finished. Just gonna let them get one more soak, get some color on there, and then we're gonna take these off, put them on a plate lined with a paper towel so we can drain some of that oil off of them. And then we'll start the next batch. spoon. Pull them right out of the oil. Drain off any excess oil. And then you can get your next batch in. These are almost finished up. Just gonna give them one more little rotation. You don't want to let them sit in one place too long, they'll lose that shape. All sides nice and toasted. And these little arancinis are almost ready to be plated up. Another batch of these arancinis, these medicated rice balls. Now we're going to drain them, and then we're going to plate them, and I'm going to show you how to serve them up with some of this medicated red pepper sauce. Just finished plating up our medicated rice balls. We've got our arancini de rizzo, the little oranges. We've got our medicated roasted red pepper sauce, and we're going to plate these up. So we've got a couple of these croquettes. Put them on the plate. Get some of that beautiful red sauce we have there. Just go over the top. A little red sauce on there. Put a little garnish on there. However you want to do it. So we're just gonna cut through one for display. You can drizzle a little more sauce on if you want. And this medicated rice dish is Hydroponic Chef approved. You can win your own General Hydroponics performance kit just for subscribing and commenting on the video section of our recipe at Hydroponic Chef on Instagram. DFZ Radio, Farm to Table Cannabis. Thanks for watching.
All the dab on me, man. All the drip on me and Z Bentley, man. Ain't know what the fuck going on, man. Got all the dab on me.
All right, so for my next recipe, we'll do bath salts, guys.
Yeah.
No? You don't want to eat some face?
For sure.
All right.
You
That's all
eating
right.
speakers.
That's a running joke. Jerome gets it. He eats face all the time.
Got to eat speakers.
We're back, Farm to Table Cannabis. I hope you enjoyed my arancini balls. We're here on the radio talking about rice balls, medicated rice balls. Speaking of rice balls, last week I was at the Hitman Coffee Shop with a bunch of other folks in the Canna Chef world, thanks to Cannabis Catered Events. Shout out to Rudy and Canna Chef Jen and Cannabis Supper Club. Everybody was in the building serving up cannabis-infused, non-cannabis-infused optional fares, and it was a good time, great people, and I made those arancini balls from this recipe that you guys just watched. So
it was awesome.
You can check out the recipe. And then Jerome's here trying to get split, but we've also got special guests in the building today.
Definitely.
And we got Tim McGraw from Canna Hub himself.
Hello.
So thanks so much for coming in. And if you're not familiar with Canna Hub, Tim, I'm going to let you explain it best because, I mean, I've heard of turnkey operations before, but this shit takes a cake, man. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people what you got going.
Sweet. Thanks for having me, man. I've been here a couple times in Tyler's studio, and it's good to be back. But, yeah, Canna Hub we are a real estate developer that specializes in cannabis business parks. My background is, first off, in real estate. I've been a developer for 20 years. But for the last 6 years, I've been in cannabis operations. I was the founder, CEO of the largest cannabis operations in Illinois. Built two of the biggest facilities in Illinois, or the two biggest facilities in Illinois. We were the biggest operator in the state. Beyond that, I built facilities all over the country and other countries, including Jamaica and the Netherlands. So what we're doing in California anyway right now is we're building cannabis business campuses. What that means is that they're essentially business parks, except they're zoned for every cannabis license type in California, except for outdoor grow and dispensary.
So you can do everything from research and development to nursery licensing to everything at the same hub.
Absolutely. So just imagine every piece of the value chain in one spot, from tissue culture to manufacturing to distribution, transportation, third-party testing. Both of our sites have full-service third-party testing on site, so all of our operators don't have to leave their campus for really any reason. So the synergies and the economies of scale realized by our operators are significant.
Now,
And,
first thing people are going to want to know is, water, electricity, location, zoning, all that shit. So first off, where is this at?
So we have 2 campuses right now. We're adding to the portfolio, but the biggest campus is just north of Sacramento in Williams, California, right on I-5 and Highway 20. That's 80 acres, and that's going to be about 1.25 million square feet. But the campus that we're working on more immediately anyway is just outside of Fresno in Mendota, California, and that's a 16-acre, actually now a 32-acre campus. That's going to be about 600,000 square feet, but we're now leasing space, and we're nearly full. The first 100,000 square feet is really close to being sold out.
So these are serious growers, serious investors, people that probably want to get into the industry but have been doing it for a long time and looking to take something that's ready to go right out the rip. Now, these turnkey operations, you're talking about the zoning, that's first of all, that's crucial, but it goes beyond that. You guys offer consultation opportunities. You guys will hold people's hand through this process to get them set up in the correct way.
Absolutely. Now, we're really picky about the operators we do business with, but the guys that we do choose, the operators we do choose, we've cut through all the red tape for them. Not only will I help them with their business plans and models and whatnot, but on the front end, we've already removed all the hurdles locally. The CUP's in place, the development agreement's in place, the zoning was written in collaboration with me and the cities. So we have zoning ordinances that are the best in the state of California.
Now, as Jerome passes your joint, I mean, you've gone to all this trouble to make sure that these areas are, first of all, zoned and ready to go, but you come from cannabis. This isn't just something where you saw an opportunity. Like,
No.
You're a smoker yourself, I see, as
Absolutely.
as you're burning with us. But what got you into this side of things? You started in Illinois, but what made you choose California now?
Well, I mean, starting back in Illinois, I've always been an advocate. Obviously, I'm a smoker, a lifetime smoker. But when I saw the fact that Illinois was going to pass a law, I decided to get involved in the lobbying and help to formulate that law and write that law in Illinois. Then I won 2 of the 21 licenses there to cultivate and manufacture. So I've been an operator. I was a CEO and founder of the largest operations in Illinois. So I know what operators need to be successful. So I took that experience and then my real estate experience and coupled that, and we came out to California, and we found cities that wanted to do business with us.
People willing to actually zone areas for cannabis cultivation.
Yeah,
and these are beautiful parts of California. That's too the people that accept this too. That they're thinking outside the box, trying to improve the community too.
Well, they're progressive and they're forward thinking. They realize the historic impact we're going to have on their cities. I mean, these are hundreds of jobs and millions of dollars infused into the local economy. Where just like in Illinois and other states, I've done it. It changes the city forever. I mean, all the bars do add-ons or do additions. All the gas stations are busy. Every place is busy for lunch. You cannot. It's hard to quantify how much impact we have on these communities with these jobs and with these gigantic campuses.
And now, when someone's coming into a facility or they're shopping around for a turnkey operation, what are some of the questions they should be asking?
The first and foremost is what is the local ordinance look like? All right, you want to be wanted. You don't want these cities and counties that think this is a get-rich-quick scheme and are charging huge revenue taxes to operators.
Coming through with inspections, every opportunity to try to make it hard for you to do business.
Exactly. I mean, the bigger the city, the bigger the county, the more bureaucracy there is. We work with smaller cities that are economically challenged that want us there, and we work with them to make it very, very easy for these operators to come in. And the biggest thing is the revenue tax. Statewide in California, the average city or county revenue tax is almost 8%, 7.9%. Both of our sites are 0% revenue tax.
And that's huge. I mean,
that's millions of dollars a year.
Everybody wants to complain about the farmer not being taken care of. You're setting up opportunities where long-term it benefits you.
Oh, absolutely. And the city. That's what excites us most is the impact that we have, not just
No, it's
economically.
not just for the grower, but for the city.
Oh,
it
yeah.
benefits the city to get in on like this. So, those are some of the questions people should be asking. Now, when it comes to filling out the lighting and products like that, what kind of knowledge and background do we have on like the consultation side of things?
Well, I mean, obviously, I've engineered hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of square feet of cannabis operations. So, they have my help in doing all this setup and engineering and planning. But at the end of the day, we want operators to take ownership of their operations.
And they have the ability to do their own stuff. They have their own building freedom, which you can't say with a lot of operations out there.
As an example, we've heard of other developments where they force you to use them to do your harvesting. It's like $400 a pound.
And you have to buy your products through them, and you have to use their consultants, their AC, their power guy. And it's not like that here.
Absolutely not. I mean, we want you to be responsible for your business. We'll help any way we can, but at the end of the day, you're going to be successful based on your methodology and your plan. So we get out of the way. We do not force you to do anything. If you want our help, we're ready to give it to you.
All right, and now water. Let's talk about water sources.
Both sites have municipal and ag wells on site. Power-wise, we have plenty of power already on site because our sites were former cold storage facilities, so tons of power. But in both sites, we're adding microgrids and going off of PG&E, and it's going to save our operators about 15 cents a kilowatt hour.
All right, now, while I light this joint from Jerome over here.
I'll just throw them at people.
Booyah! What do you think about these get-rich-quick warehouses people are trying to flip right now in this black market?
Look at the fine print. We've seen a lot of lawsuits getting flying around right now between operators and quote-unquote developers that have made all kinds of promises they can't keep. You also have cities that have passed ordinances but not yet passed the CUP, which dictates the permit fees. So there's cities charging 15, 25% of gross revenues, and that's not sustainable. That is, you could not compete paying that much gross revenue tax. In our facilities, it's 0%. So how do you compete with that if you're another city charging 7 to 25? Just you can't.
The math's not right.
No.
Listen up. Now, what you guys offer now that some of your competitors don't. I mean, in addition to like showing you through, is you guys actually work with some of the most how would I say this? From everyone from the beginner to all the way to people that have been doing this for years. You guys deal with everyone. It's everyone's welcome.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The biggest qualifying factor if you're new to this business or you've been on the black market and growing for a long time is you got to be well financed. You have to be well funded. We're not taking flyers on guys that are really good growers and have no money.
But what about people that have never touched cannabis but want to get into the industry and they're needing the consultation and the place to do it?
Yeah, that's the other side of the spectrum. Those guys also need to be well financed, but you also need to put a team together that has experience in regulated cannabis.
Listen up.
Having a good grower is great, but having a grower or a team that's experienced in other states where they've been under the thumb of government is experience you really, really need.
That's it too.
Hey
now,
Tim, real quick, just a figure. If you're trying to get into this business, I mean, what kind of money are we looking at to even think about it?
I mean, there's a huge.
He doesn't want to scare anyone away, but
I mean, it is what it is. It's the cost of doing business, but you got to understand this is a booming market, and people need to realize it's not necessarily something that's a few $1,000s.
No, absolutely not. It depends on what you're doing. Cultivation is by far, in a way, the most capital-intensive and risky part of the business. You have the most variables, the most things that can go wrong, and you have the most upfront capex, and you have the longest time until you're actually making money, until you're harvesting and actually, have your facility propagated. And
what's the realistic red time? I mean, until you actually can turn that into profit.
I advise anybody that's putting a pro forma together and saying, how long is it going to take before I'm making money? You're not making a penny inside of 12 months. And that's assuming that you're starting with a built-out building.
So, I mean, when you come into this shit, you need to be financed. And I've heard people throw around, if you don't have $1 million backing, you shouldn't even be thinking about getting into some of these situations. Would that be the same with Would that be the same with this scenario?
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing manufacturing and distribution and you're pretty, those guys don't need that much money, but if you're doing cultivation, you need a serious bankroll. But yeah, that's a good rule of thumb. If you can't raise $1 million or more, this is not the time. I mean, this is a very, very expensive business.
That's it too. Yeah, this ain't for the weak. You might want to get into both. So you guys have got everything turnkey. Now, when people come in, what are some of the questions they should be asking if they're thinking about getting into this industry?
Well, it depends on what type of license they're looking for. But if they're manufacturers or distributors, some small things you need to think about is by state law you have to have separate loading and unloading. So by default you're going to eat up more space than you think it takes to do distribution or manufacturing. There's a lot of small things that you really need to think about that will affect your build out. And one thing I've learned in cannabis is once you've done it, it's really hard to unlay those tracks because you're not going to shut down operations and rebuild your facility. So getting your design and layout right the first time is really important because, again, you're not going to shut down and stop operations and lose money and rebuild your facility. So get it right the first time. Work with somebody like us that's had experience in real regulated markets, not garage grows and big black market grows, but legitimate, regulated, large-scale grows. That type of experience is unbelievably valuable to somebody that's trying to enter the business because all of your guesses are going to be wrong. It's just that.
Are you seeing a lot of people out there guessing right now, trying to wing it?
Well, I see a lot of pro formas like, well, I have this many lights and I'm going to get 2 pounds per light. That type. There's so many nuances to this business that you can't. You need far more sophistication in your pro forma than number of lights and number of pounds per light. Sorry, you're not. Even if you're getting 3 pounds of light, you're not selling 3 pounds of grade A flour. At least 2 pounds of that's going to extraction through your larf.
I beg to differ, Tim.
Well, you are the exception to the rule, my man. But generally, on
when
scale,
other people say 4 pounds one plant, usually it's the land of make believe.
No, I
but
just
when
put it out
Jerome
there.
says
I called over 6 pounds this next grow off that I'm going to win. So.
All right, easy
there's
there,
always
down
exceptions
boy.
to the rule. There's always exceptions to the rule.
I'm going to use more than one light this time.
Generally, on scale, those type of numbers, 3 pound numbers are great, but a lot of that's going to extraction. A lot of that's larf. A lot of depends on how tight your canopy is. A lot of things come to that, factor into that. But yeah, growing on scale is just so much different than growing for yourself and your boys. It's just a fact.
Yeah, if you're getting into this and you're trying to scale up, that's that's another thing entirely. Now you guys offer consultations, and now grow equipment. Is that you guys work with the local shops in the area? You guys have your own accounts. How are you guys providing that kind of service?
There's something that we're working on that I can't reveal at the moment, but we'll just say that because of our buying power collectively across all of our operators and all of our campuses, we have very strong buying power as a collective. So
what you guys is not only do you get the facility that's turnkey, you get the water, the power, everything, but your guys' network. You people have access to the network of grow supplies, consultations, and knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm connected to it, anybody that's one of my partners is connected to it. So I mean, whether it's High Times or our PR or lobbying, we plan on making an association of all of our operators to pool our resources to protect ourselves. The amount of synergy and economies of scale and just like the incubation of all of these badasses working together on one site is one of the things that excites me the most.
So no extraction, no dispensaries. That's the only thing.
No, absolutely extraction. Manufacturing both volatile and non-volatile solvents. The only things we can't have are dispensary and outdoor grow.
So you telling me we're going to open a kitchen?
Oh, absolutely.
That's
oh my
it.
God.
You heard it here first.
Now
let's talk edibles for a minute. You like edibles.
I love edibles.
But what's the biggest problem in the edible industry right now?
Homogenization and emulsification is getting equally dosed edibles is what I see as the biggest problem. And as a guy that can handle 250, 300 milligrams of an edible, to eat an edible that you think is 100 milligrams and have it knock me on my ass for 8 hours, or imagine what that would do to a normal person. So the edibles market, we really need to get dosing figured out. And a lot of that I think will change when lab testing is really well enforced, because they'll start testing the end products and seeing what the actual dosages of the chocolate or of the gummy. But right now, it's
all about what corner of the cookie you get, huh?
Exactly. It's like get a gallon of ice cream and then putting caramel swirl in it. You might get a spoonful that has 20% caramel swirl. You might get one that has no caramel swirl. So
I need more caramel swirl. You hear me, Ben and Jerry?
Yeah. I've had it happen to me, and that sucks, man. To be done for the next 30 hours and not planning on it.
All right. Well, I fuck with Mama Mera edibles. I eat this stuff religiously. You got any recommended edible companies?
Well, I'm actually a High Times judge, so I've judged I think 3 different cups of edibles, and I'm trying to remember what I really liked.
Yeah, it's probably hard to remember when you're an edible judge. Fuck, dude. Go
Yeah,
back
it's
at the
tough-
end of the
it's-
week,
yeah.
like, how many edibles did I eat this week? I don't know. I forgot.
Flour's actually harder, though. I mean, you get less entries for edibles, but for flour, the last time I judged, I had 43 entries of indica flour that I had to judge in 5 days. So it's like a...
Was
it's like
this before testing or after? Because you remember those days before testing and
Oh.
anyone could just enter in high times?
No, it's expensive to enter high times, but you've seen over time the entries have definitely gotten smaller. Back, 5 years ago, each entry was like $3 or $5 grand. It was a huge entry. Now it's like you're literally getting LARF in like little popcorn nugs as their entries, and they're spending a lot of money to do it, so it makes no sense. But the entry. I mean, as a judge back in the day, you could like literally live on your high times entries. I mean, it was crazy, but not anymore.
Good times.
Yeah, good times.
So, where can people reach out and find you guys for these turnkey operations?
We are canna-hub.com, and Instagram we are
canna_hub.
Canna_hub.
Real estate.
Real estate. Canna_hub_real estate. Yeah, I should have that memorized though.
Yeah, that needs to go on a shirt.
Don't worry, we got it up on the screen for you too.
So,
We have the
100
best producer
acre
ever.
and a 1.5 million square foot under development and 2 locations. We got one right outside of Fresno, one right outside of Sacramento and Wilmington.
We are in Williams, just north of Sacramento, and then Mendota, just outside of Fresno.
That's huge.
But we're looking to add some real estate in Southern California. So.
Well, we're going to be right back. We're going to be talking more with Canna Hub on DFZ Radio's Farm to Table Cannabis.
And I don't hold up shit, you know what I mean, but to represent, you know what I mean, but to be me, you know what I mean, procreate, have better seeds, make a better nation,
I'm Superman fly in the city. Check a nigga altitude. I'm higher than the rest of you. I'm Superman fly in the city. Check a nigga altitude. I'm higher than the rest of you. I'm Superman fly in the city.
Caviar got me scorched. Why you niggas smoking Newport shorts? And you wonder why your bankroll short. Probably cause your ass never left the porch. I be grinding and making moves, you know the business. Pound the block, pushing work till it's finished. Serial killers need no fucking eyewitness. Extra clip, shit, I'm on my blade.
Respect you, respect me.
I've been hustling my whole life.
You know there's no nigga out here like this.
Seen the light. I see you niggas stopping at the stop sign. I'm California stopping cause the world is mine. Some claim defeat, the angels speak. They woke the king will sleep. The trip will be the way to me. I'm Superman fly in the city. Check a nigga altitude. I'm higher than the rest of you. I'm Superman fly in the city. Check a nigga altitude. I'm higher than the rest of you. I'm Superman fly in the city.
Names confused when wearing capes, you fools. Still breaking the rules, roll moving, you lose. Handyman with the tool, I had to rock his body. I came to body like Lottie Dottie, and I don't wanna hurt nobody. I'ma break it down with the get down, watch it go down, hold it down with the 4 pound. Now you know now, it's about to go down.
Respect you, respect me.
I've been hustling my whole life.
You know there's no nigga out here like
this. The light. I see you niggas stopping at the stop sign. I'm California stopping cause the world is mine. Some claim defeat, the angels speak. They woke the king will sleep. The trip will be the way to me.
My weaknesses and my strengths. But everybody know my strengths definitely outweigh my weaknesses. As long as that, I'm a human being, like everybody else. And if I meet somebody perfect, then they can train me. And they can help me be perfect. But there ain't nobody out there perfect. So we'll all just get along with it.
They say Machiavelli's resurrected, I can feel his presence. But the coldest thing, Machiavelli never left us. Who the fuck he think he is? Talking about Machiavelli never left us. Who the fuck is it?
I'm an outlaw thug, like hustle to the death of me. Brutalist, Helly, and I'm mom lost, baby. Worth to getting money, knowledge in the fucking lead. Think you seen that ghost if you stood right in front of me. Tupac eternally, Rogers on his own shit. Think like new money, and you can pass it, show me. Worldwide masterpiece, hustle on this fucking street. On that dead fed crime, so they still tapping me. $1 million smile, girls say I'm sexy. Bachelor in arts, got it in psychology. Player, you ain't fly as me, still can't see me. Stand on oxygen when you can't even breathe.
Check a nigga altitude. I'm higher than the rest of you. I'm Superman, fly in the city. Check a nigga altitude. I'm higher than the rest of you. I'm Superman, fly in the city.
Have you ever been interested in gardening with dry fertilizers? Well, you're not the only one, and let me tell you about Vermicrop Organics and their line of organic dry fertilizers. Healthy plants with a simple 4-step process. Step 1. Just measure out a half teaspoon per gallon of soil or 2 cups per 12 square feet of soil surface area. Step 2. Apply evenly to the soil surface. Step 3. Blend into the top layer of soil to avoid caking. Step 4. Water thoroughly. And that's it, simple as that. Great for vegetables, fruits, flowers, potted plants, trees, shrubs, annuals, and perennials. It's Vermicrop Organics VermiVeg 744. Along with the VermiBloom and PK Boost, you will have a complete line of organic nutrients and a garden that will thank you with a great harvest. Looking for an even simpler way? Then check out the Vermiall 666. This game-changing mix is formulated for all stages of growth in the fast-paced garden of champion vegetable and flower growers. And check out the Vermi-Bat Guano Fertilizer and the Vermi-Blood Blood Meal Fertilizer for feeding oversized, nitrogen-hungry plants. Learn more at vermicrop.com. That's vermicrop.com.
Yo, it's BKJ on Team King, and you listening to DFZ Radio. What?
DFZRadio.com.
Cause I always got that 425. Man, I got a vibe. Man, I got so high I couldn't drive. Couldn't even drive. Look at what I did by 25. 25, nigga. Dizzy OG think I we alive. Cause I always got that 425. You know I got it. I always got that 425. You know I got it, nigga. You know I keep that 425. Blaze one with me then. Dizzy OG think I we alive. Hey. Dizzy OG all up in my paper. Hey, but is he right about to run for mayor? Whoa. Started my label, now they think I'm giving out favors. Too bad, a couple niggas that I used to fuck with turned into haters. Don't be hitting my line, cause I ain't got the time. I told you once, nigga don't front online. I know what the fuck you want. Seeing through these fools, mad cause I make their girlfriend booty move with my G.
Alright, we're back. Farm to Table Cannabis, DFZ Radio. We got Tim from Canna Hub in the building, talking about cannabis real estate, talking about all the things that you need to look out for when you're getting into a turnkey operation. And, what are some of the unexpected hurdles people could experience in other not-so-friendly zoned areas?
That's a great point, actually, is, what we did is early on is we decided that we wanted to be where we were wanted. I'm sorry. We wanted cities that wanted us to be there, that wanted the economic impact. A lot of these operators are in cities that, they have maybe city councils that are split, and they have a lot of political problems. In our cities, we've written ordinances that are very pro-business. And the problem in places where you're in a county or another large city, you're dealing with a lot of bureaucracy there, where we've cut through all this red tape already. The CUP's in place, the development agreement's in place. These operators don't have to deal with the politics of the local community.
Because you guys have already dealt with it. Now, every time you get involved with bureaucrats in cannabis, if someone's hands always wanting to get paid by somebody else for what their hard work is. And now with you guys have eliminated that. You guys have made it easy to do business. Now, talk about the tax. First of all, how bad you'll get screwed on taxes if you don't do business with you.
We know of operators that are paying in excess of 45% taxes at the end of the day between the state, the county, and their local municipality. In a cannabis or CannaHub business park, 0% revenue tax. They pay a small per square foot permit fee per year to the city, no revenue tax. So they're not giving up millions of dollars a year to bureaucracy, to counties and cities.
To red tape that's really just trying to slow down the cannabis industry, which is why you see that they said the revenue expected is not where it's supposed to be at.
Absolutely.
And it's because of the bureaucrats involved. It's because of the regulation that has been way too slow to roll out. And you're talking about doing business in areas that want you. And that's the first thing people think about when opening up a business in the cannabis industry is, where can I do business? Well, you guys have already scouted out the area. Now, the Central Valley, it seems kind of out in the cuts, but really, you guys are only 2 hours away from like the central hub of cannabis in Northern California, which is the Bay Area.
Admittedly, CannaHubs are not dispensary locations. They're not retail locations. They're logistical locations. So you can have a badass spot in downtown LA, but you're not going to have easy access to the rest of the state.
Did he mention taxes?
And you're going to be paying through the ass in taxes. What we've done is we found really, really good logistical locations, and then couple that with really great, community support and really unbelievable ordinances and zero taxes.
And your network.
Yeah, and my network and what we can do for people, and put that in a spot where they can reach the whole state, the manufacturing and distribution. That's the two bottlenecks in this industry, right, is extracts are growing, and distribution is required in California. So there's a bottleneck through distributors. Distributors have very high gross revenues and very small margins because they're just a pass-through organization, right? It's all they're doing is taking in the product and putting it out to dispensaries. So they can't afford to pay 10 or 15% in gross revenue tax. So that and then everything else, expand that to all the license types. But that's why we're so popular, especially couple that with all the other synergies of having all the other operators on site and cheaper power and water, all those things. Anybody that locates outside of our site is going to have to compete with guys in our site, and they're going to be in trouble.
So basically, if they're not with you, they'll be against you.
Well, I don't know about.
but
they're going to have to deal with us. That's for sure.
It's something you have to take into perspective. If you're getting a turnkey operation that isn't set up to do business as easy as you guys have made it, then you really need to ask about what CannaHub can do for you.
Yeah, or it's cheap. I mean, if you want to give money to the city or county and watch it get eaten up in bureaucracy, where you can take that money and actually do something in the community like we do, and we help the football team, we help anything that we can do in the community, we do.
And these are areas that didn't have this money rolling in earlier, where you guys have made this available, and it's because of the turnkey cannabis operations at the Wilmington facility, or is it
Well, Mendota right now. I mean, you could go down there and ask around right now, and you can see the impact we're having just during construction right now with more people on site. It's amazing how quickly we have impact on these communities because just the development costs we're pouring into that site, which are in excess of $20 million, that all filters out to everybody in the community, right?
That's called the trickle-down effect, I think Trump would say.
Yeah, but our first two hires in Mendota were Mendota citizens. We do everything we can to take care of the communities that we operate in.
And your customers that are doing business.
And we are going to motivate our operators to do the same. And I know that the operators that we have signed on now have the same feeling that we do. They want to have an impact. They want cannabis to have a good name. They want to see that the social impacts and the social reform that can come from, cannabis. It's amazing what this plant can do for people. It's amazing what the money can also do for these communities.
And you've been an advocate. We're not always in a friendly area like California. Illinois is not so friendly to cannabis.
No, it's not.
Now, I definitely consider this a step in the right direction for people trying to get in the legal area. And a turnkey operation through CannaHub is probably the no-brainer move for you if you're looking for that operation. So, Tim, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to do sign-offs, you guys. And then, if anybody else calls in, I got some products to give away, and you might even get to ask Tim a question. 562-653-0707.
Dreadlocks are the way you come from. You must have two sticker sensi under your tongue. I said, no, Officer Lord, you must be mad. He only smokes cigarettes and strictly shag. Oh,
all about that. Mary Jane, hey, you know what? I'm a sad, Yep. I'm yawning 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm breaking out the bag of weed. I break it up, then I'm rolling. Fuck it, I'm jonesing. Waking, baking, I'm stoning. There's a girl in the bed rolling. Fuck it, I'm boning. Okay. Lighting trees up till smoky. I'm puffing on the best, you just smoking some shit. That's just okay. Yeah. You go smoke that hay. I'm alright. I'ma smoke that high grade every day. I know still high grade when me smoking. They must see things say a joke thing when me alla. I know still high grade when me smoking. They must see things say a joke thing when me alla. Give me that good. Call the wrist, call it the fucking butterfugo. Jabba bass on the bass, straight from Cali FedEx. I'm like, hold up, what's next? I'm smoking so much I got a motherfucking pain in my chest. Yeah. Going bananas, I roll a couple, split them motherfuckers look like bananas. Yeah, Cooper Cup bananas, I'm trees, ocean savannas. I'm living life, plus a couple bricks that shot for me nanas. I'm talking about high grade when me smoking. They must see things say a joke thing when me all a burn me ganja vibe, burn me ganja vibe, burn me ganja vibe, burn me ganja vibe. High grade when me smoking. They must see things say a joke thing when me all a.
Now, Tuna, I ask you, is there such thing as that, my G?
What's that?
I mean, I'm getting high right now in the booth, man. Yeah, I'ma pass that to you. I mean, I've been getting high all day, all night. Rock.
I get high like there ain't no tomorrow. Figure my life without weed, pure sorrow. Wake up in the morning, still high from last night. Hazy ass eyesight made my way to the swisher. 10 blunts up in one session. Teach weed lessons to beginners. Happy seeing double. Smoke one for the lost cause. Cause I feel like I'm on Mars. The more in hell, the more that I see stars. Might scribble out a few balls. I go hard, don't smoke with them niggas who go guard. Got my own sack, fiends rolling in the back door. Move on, no life, we gon' fight. My appetite for Mary Jane is alright. Meet her with my dudes and we go smoke all night. I'm smoking it on site. Me and Charlie Tuna, new cheeks and charms.
Man, I know what you mean, dog. It is a such thing as being high enough, though. I'm saying that it's like can't just keep smoking and just smoking. At a certain point.
All right, we're back. DFZ Radio. Farm to Table Cannabis extended version. We in the studio keeping it late night tonight.
Yeah,
Jerome,
you know we do
Jerome just keeps rolling them up, so we're just gonna keep on burning it
We're
down.
gonna keep it rolling too.
So we got Tim Canna Hub in the building, talking about this 100-acre, 1.5 million square foot facilities under development, turnkey operations. So it brings the best of everything together: the location, water, power, zoning, and Tim's network of Fine Cannabis Associates. Now, Bud, how did you get into this game, dude? Like the Illinois thing, why Cali? Like it just seems like you already had it made back east.
It comes down to, first of all, I've always planned on coming out west. Like since I was a kid, I knew that I hate Illinois, or I don't hate Illinois.
You can't rewind that. He said it.
I'm a Packers fan that lives in Illinois, so it's not like I was even a Bears fan. No, I mean, the weather is terrible. I'm like depressed during the winter. I just don't like cold. So I've always wanted to come out west.
Like the Bears.
My brother came out here and he died, and there's a whole thing. But so when I saw the opportunity in Illinois to apply my trade of real estate development in cannabis, I jumped at it, and I thought I'd win a couple licenses. I did win two of the 21, and. But then when I saw the opportunity to really expand on that and come out here to the biggest market in the world, I mean, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. It's the largest cannabis market in the world. There's 39 million people here. It's the most mature cannabis market in the world. So this is really the mecca. I mean, Denver had the title for a little while.
We invented weed for
It
everybody
is back.
else to
It
follow.
is back.
So,
California is back holding the title of best-in-class cannabis. But now with regulation, it's been a complete 180, man. I mean, honestly, when I came out here, I knew that it would take a while for California, nascent, existing California guys to catch up, the learning curve to regulation. But I've been, kind of surprised at how ill-prepared a lot of the California market's been for this change to regulation.
Hey, everyone was living in the
Everybody
black
doesn't know
market
how
for
to grow
so
without
long.
pesticides, Tim.
That's huge, man. I mean, California grows great dope. I mean, always has. Always will. But at the end of the day, all you got to ask your grower that claims he's never used pesticides and he's completely organic is when's the last time he cut down and threw out a crop? Right? If you can't say, well, at least once this year, then he's used Eagle 20 or somehow saved his crop from not being destroyed by pests.
Those bastards. So were you pro legalization or were you against it?
Oh, I'm definitely pro legalization. Absolutely. The only where it stops for me is once you start selling it to other people and taking people's money, it needs to be clean. Yep. That's all. Otherwise, I don't care if people have 100 plant grows in their own house if they're legit taking care of just their family or whatever. But as soon as you enter the commercial market and you want to be in business and real business, you need to have your shit tested. And frankly, while there's great cannabis out here, 90% of it fails testing for pesticides. So.
What do you think about the situation with the standardized testing?
Well, I think it's crazy the parts per trillion that they're requiring out here. That's crazy. They've gone. I believe in regulated cannabis, but they've gone the other way with cannabis. We're far more regulated than any FDA drug is. Testing wise, with residual solvents or residual anything, in FDA drugs is 1 part per maybe 350 million. The lowest tolerances you'll see in cannabis is 1 part per billion usually, and then in California it's not 1 part per trillion, where you can fail if the lab equipment's not completely sterile from the last test.
Right. If you try to pull this on any other industry, people would lose their mind.
So, and I think a lot of people aren't prepared for that. How strict this regime is in this test. It's tough. It's tough to grow good cannabis on scale without pesticides. It is. It's not easy. So I think there's a change that's happening right now. There was obviously a big reset button that was hit in July, right, with the pesticide testing.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've seen internally is what I said is just unprepared people. A scramble now, like, holy shit, what am I going to do? Like, what does my local ordinance say? And what did my lease say? Like, what did I sign on to? There's people suing developers because there's taxes they didn't know were there, and because the CUP wasn't passed yet. The ordinance was passed, but the cost of the permit still wasn't determined, and people signed leases for 15% tax that they didn't know about. So there's a lot of turmoil right now, and we're quite frankly saving a lot of people. They're calling us. So
by asking the right questions. Now, what are some of the right questions people need to be asking before they get into a turnkey operation? If they decided that they wanted to go with Joe Blow.
First and foremost is what does the ordinance say? What does it allow? How does it affect my ability to make money? And the top on that list would be, is there a revenue tax and how much it is? And is it capped? And will it change over time? Almost every single city or county has passed an ordinance, has passed something that says, we can charge up to 15%. And so you go in not knowing what you're going to be paying in taxes to the city, and it's it's a cash grab. And then people sign leases, and then they find out, it's 15% interest or 7%, whatever it is. It takes them out of the market by comparison to the operators are going to be working in our parks where they're paying 0%. So we're getting a lot of frantic calls nowadays, and we're doing our best to take care of the best California operators, but we're getting a lot of calls from out-of-state guys too.
So what's it like bringing all that talent together, from the new guys with the money that are talented to the growers that have been doing this for a long time and are super talented?
I was hoping, quite honestly, to see that it started happening far earlier than it has now. I think now finally you're seeing some of the bigger California brands, the ones that have really good branding and social media, they're starting to gobble up. There's already some consolidation of the market happening with those companies. And I think you're going to continue to see that with anybody that gets funded. Right now in California, if you have some really good assets in the dispensaries and a couple grows and good licenses. If you can get funding, you can do pretty well right now by consolidating a lot of other companies. So it's going to be an interesting next 12 months for sure. I think there's going to be early on, there's going to be a huge consolidation where guys need money from out of state, and so there'll be fewer players. But then a couple years out, I see the big boys. Like CVS just applied for 300 nursery licenses in California. So the game's up. I mean, it's over. They see the value.
You heard it here first.
I'll tell you right now, the value right now is in genetics and in the science in application right now. In between is whatever. That's where the money's going to be, and that's where you're going to see the big guys come in, is in from distribution on, in branding, and then early on in genetics with tissue culture. That's why nursery licenses are going to these guys.
And R&D licenses, people are going crazy for that.
Control the value chain, like Monsanto. It's the same thing.
Right.
You can control the genetics, and you can control the science, the output, the chemical makeup of the plant, and how it's applied. That's controlling the market. And then they let the whoever supply it. They don't care, but they control the two most important parts of the market.
You're writing a book in the future, and it's going to be titled "Success in Real Estate" or "Success in the Cannabis Industry." Which one is it going to be called?
Neither. I think it would be just success at doing
how to alienate friends and piss off relatives.
I don't know, man. I still don't know what I want to do for a living. I'm 39 and I still don't know. But I think that the book will be, holy shit, that guy did a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, no, it's been fun. I love this industry. I'm super passionate about cannabis in general. And, I'll tell you right now, on air that I'd be on some stupid drugs if it weren't for cannabis.
So that leads me to my next question before we sign off. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? And don't say drugs again.
I don't know, man. I have a fucked up brain. It's hard for me to sit still, so I'd be trying to do something. I don't know. I wouldn't be sitting still. That's for sure.
No grass can grow under his feet. He stays grinding, motherfucker.
Dude, I love country. I just, I can't
you have
sing.
a few albums, don't you?
Yeah, that's the poser Tim McGraw. I'm the real Tim McGraw.
He's the real Tim McGraw, you guys. So this has been the real Tim McGraw from CannaHub. And you can check them out on Instagram at CannaHub at Canna_hub_real estate.
Yep.
And
Canna-hub.com.
And Canna-hub.com. And a big thank you to Edibly Infused. And did you want to give a shout out to anyone before we play some more music and sign off?
To Jerome for hooking it up and calling me in, and to you guys for having me.
Jiggity Jerome with the great influence. He's always got a good network of people, and he grows like 3 pounds of plant. So he's a good person to have
around. I'm going to give them
around.
secret advice. So if you really want to maximize your profits, I'm going to tell them how to basically double everything you could do with anybody else. So.
And our producer, this is I've never had a bad show here, and it's amazing how well this is put together. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on every Tuesday night, 5 o'clock. Every Tuesday night, 5 o'clock, Farm to Table Cannabis. Just want to make sure I'm not doing any extra shows any other days. So you can catch me and Jerome and Soundman Saint hanging out. Kitchen's open. DFZradio.com.
Hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro. Hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro. Hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro. Hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro. Hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro. Hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Chefs in the kitchen and they chopping up hydro. The hydro chefs in the building and they rolling up hydro. Hydro's in the kitchen and they cooking it up. Hydro, let's go. Hydro's in the studio. Chop it up, chop it up. Up that hydro. Hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro. Hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro. Hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Roll up, cook up hydro. Roll up, cook up hydro. Roll up, cook up hydro. Let's go.